to digital.
It is Thursday, 15th February 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard confirms at least 2 vessels were involved in the oil spill incident that has been engaging the attention of multiple agencies in Trinidad and Tobago. Even as investigations continue, video footage and other information obtained by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard have confirmed the 2 vessels are a tugboat and a barge. The Ministry of National Security, in particular the TTCG, is collaborating with other local and regional agencies to identify the vessels and their official owners. Investigations have so far revealed the vessels appear to have been bound for Guyana, but the Guyanese authorities have confirmed neither vessel arrived as anticipated. At this stage, it is not yet known whether any lives have been lost in the incident. Meantime, THA Chief Secretary Fali Augustine said the Office of the Chief Secretary has been disrespected by the government's failure to send official correspondence to the THA regarding the vessel's identity before releasing a public statement. Augustine has also accused the government of withholding critical information it had on the vessel early and once the information cleared up. The governing body for Calypso took as a business model and is confident the plan will be a success. The Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization President Ainsley King says this concept is critical and has been developed in spite of the various challenges being faced by the organization. At the news briefing held yesterday, King said there have been some encouraging signs this carnival season, which Tuco plans to capitalize upon. And Mikel Tasia Williams is the 2024 Road March winner. The announcement made by Tuco yesterday. Tasia's DNA song was played 341 times in various judging points during the 2 days of carnival festivities. And surreal is how he described the exhausted Mikel Tasia following his road march victory yesterday. He said the feeling is surreal because after so many years of hard work, I could never have dreamt of this. He says it felt like destiny. Second place went to 2023 road march winner Ian Alvarez, Bungee Garden. His carnival contract song was played 225 times, and Patrice Roberts' Anxiety placed third, being played 48 times. Meanwhile, in terms of the bands, Lost Tribe with their presentation, The Fly, has won the 2024 Large Band of the Year with 858 points. The results announced at a media conference yesterday by TNT Carnival Bands Association President Dr. Roslyn Gabriel. Coming in second were Ronnie and Kara's Bushfire presentation with 848 points. Rounding out the top 3, Paparazzi Ayoka with 811 points. In the medium band category, Kinetic Mass with their presentation, Yokoso came out tops with 894 points. Second, K2K Alliance, The Sword Crossing with 876 points. And third was Image Nations Juve with 761 points. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is actively investigating a video circulating on social media showing an adult female gyrating on a minor. The investigation will determine if the offense of sexual touching of a child has been committed, contrary to Section 19 of the Children's Act. Section 19 of the Act states where a person touches a child and the touching is sexual and the child is under 16 years of age, the person has committed an offense. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service does not have the lawful authority to release mugshots of individuals who are charged with criminal offenses to the public. The High Court has now ruled. Mugshots are images captured for a specific purpose under Section 50 of the Police Service Act and does not include public dissemination. Justice Frank C. Prasad ruled yesterday. The judge said it was clearly stated in the section that such images were only to be used in the course of the prosecution of the criminal offenses, inclusive of the preparation of internal police files to advance any instituted prosecution. In news of the region, Guyana Region 2 teachers continue strike action but opted to stay home Tuesday and Wednesday. This confirmed by the sports chairman of Guyana's Teachers Union South, Martin Samaru. He said teachers in Region 2 will continue to join the Guyana Teachers Union, calling for collective bargaining and review of teachers' salaries. And finally, people say several people have been shot in Kansas City, Missouri, after a Super Bowl victory parade. Shots were fired west of Union Station, near to where thousands had gathered for a parade on Wednesday. The number of injured is still unclear, although the fire department official told the Associated Press 8 to 10 people had been hurt. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. It is 6 minutes after the hour. 6 o'clock on this, the 15th day. Well, yesterday, really. 15th day of February. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. On your screens on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see the man sipping his coffee. We call him, after this carnival season, Super Paul. Yep, Super Paul to the rescue. Paul Richards. And the man in black, Richard Ragoobarsingh, is in already. My name is Steve Khan. We've got Ashes and serious. We got Shane and Ruben in the mix, all right?
Ashes are miraculous.
Yeah, boy.
Good morning, Ragoobarsingh. Ashes work.
Good morning, guys. I think I already need some coffee this morning. But good morning. Yeah, good morning, and welcome to the Power Breakfast Show.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
Yeah. Good morning to Oliver Manwaring, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Edwin Marshall, Maria Celier, God Celier, DJ Ray out in Tampa, Wendy and James, Gloria Gray, Marcia Rock out in Florida, Wayne B, not in Covington, Georgia, but in Trin City. B.V. Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Good morning to Derek Parsons. Slick Money Grip, good morning to you guys. Thank you so much for sending a message via YouTube and on Facebook. All right. Yeah, Rich. So good morning to you, gentlemen. Well, hold on. I didn't sync with you, Paul.
Paul is doing about a sign of the cross. So, of course, it's Carnival, but I shouldn't say Carnival Tuesday. It's Ash Tuesday, sometimes we call it, because it's the drifting to the end of the week of Carnival Week.
Mm-hmm.
And as we zoom towards the weekend, of course, lots of foreigners still here.
Oh, yeah.
Some have started leaving, but lots are still here as they finish the last few days in the country before heading back to wherever, part of the planet they came from. All of the results, of course, came out yesterday. So, of course, we could say congrats to Miguel Georgia for winning Road March with DNA. So, congrats, Miguel Georgia. I think a lot of people were rooting for that to be Road March.
They were,
I think I love both songs, but the story of someone who's risen after all the hard work and almost like a rags to riches story is a feel good story. So people wanted him to have his year this year. They wanted him to. He won Young King earlier on. He really had the 3 major songs of Carnival, and they just wanted him. They wanted him to have his moment, and he did. So congratulations to him.
Well, he won Young Kings. He came 4th in the Calypso Monarch finals, and he won Road March. So yeah,
he describes it as surreal. And he said all the years of hard work have paid off. And he says it's an inspiration to any young person to don't give up on your dreams and pursue your passions. So I think it's a very great message from him. So congratulations to him and his team. I'm sure he has a team behind him.
Yeah, he does. Hopefully we'll get him on the program.
And go ahead.
No, but I think we also got Band of the Year results.
Yeah.
Right. From large, medium, and small. I'm not too sure who won small.
I can't remember, but I'm not surprised with the large and medium band at all. Lost Tribe is fantastic. Valmiki Maharaj and the team. And I knew Kinetic Mass would win medium band. Remember I told you yesterday, it was really amazing looking. And K2K, of course, always doing great work. So congratulations.
Yeah, those young ladies, amazing.
K2K came second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good for all of them, you know. Congrats to Bungie Garden too. Came second, Patrice Roberts third. In spite of everything she's going through, she put on a fantastic showing this carnival.
Yeah, boy. No
So,
kidding, eh?
you know, she's to be commended for keeping the chin up and flying the flag. So those are the big stories, of course, coming out of the announcement yesterday of Carnival. The big winners of Carnival, I think, was a really good Carnival. So it's on now. I see yes, Carnival, then the Bacchanal start back. I just yesterday commended the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary of working together so well on Sunday. And then the Chief Secretary has a press conference yesterday and accuses the government of X, Y, Z. 1, 2, 3.
Holding back information.
I just said, okay. I see we're back to normal. The carnival
But
is
my question is, if it's a tugboat and a barge, there are two questions. One, where's the crew for the tugboat? And this other boat that they found in Tobago, where did that come from? I'm a bit confused with that.
But isn't everyone confused, Steve?
Yeah. That
At this
is not only me. But where's
So
the
they were
crew?
saying that the boat was probably being towed, right?
No, that's
Is that
The
what it is?
barge was being towed by a tugboat.
yeah, that's what we heard.
The one that overturned.
Heading to Guyana.
And they seemed to have been heading to Guyana, but neither of the vessels arrived as anticipated. My concern is, okay, so you have identified that it is a barge and a tugboat. There's one of the two vessels, I guess it's the barge, which will be carrying the load, overturned and ran into the reef. Where's the tugboat? And if you have identified it's a barge and a tugboat on the way to Guyana, how come you don't have the name yet? But
How
barge
come what?
X, how come you don't have the name?
Yeah.
So you know it was, you know, something was on the way to Guyana, but you don't know the name.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense. If a regional authority has been able to give you as much information as a barge and a tugboat, a barge towing a tugboat towing a barge with hydrocarbons on board, and you have a destination, you understand? But they say they appear to have been bound for Guyana, and the Guyanese authorities have confirmed this, and neither vessels arrived as anticipated. The Guyanese authorities, they're just letting any vessel on the way to Guyana. They would know what vessel coming and where it's coming from. That's how shipping works.
And who it's registered to, who the owners are, etc. Who's coming for, all of that.
And Mr. Augustine has started asking questions, and in asking questions, making certain implications by asking the questions about whether or not the boat is attached to Trinidad's oil companies at Petrotrin or Pario, not Petrotrin. Whether it's attached to a buyer for the oil, the now defunct or the now in abeyance Petrotrin, and all sorts of questions that I'm wondering where they come from based on WhatsApp messages he says he received. But he always receives a lot of WhatsApp messages that can be confirmed there. There be a lot of WhatsApp messages from somebody a couple of months ago about who accusing who or what. So his WhatsApp is be very lit. So he has questions based on the WhatsApp messages that he says he's received. So, but I agree with him in the information that they started working together seemingly pretty well over the weekend and Sunday. And then I did see a Coast Guard release yesterday. Is it Coast Guard or Ministry of National Security?
Ministry of National Security.
Ministry of National Security, right? Released, the Ministry of National Security, media release February 14th. Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard confirms 2 vessels involved in oil spill incident. And I will just read it because it's not too long. Port of Spain, February 14th, 2024. The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard has confirmed that at least 2 vessels were involved in the oil spill incident that's been engaging the attention of multiple agencies in Trinidad and Tobago, even as investigations are continuing. Video footage and other information obtained by the TTCG have confirmed the two vessels are a tugboat and a barge. The Ministry of National Security, in particular the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, is collaborating with other local and regional agencies, including CARICOM Impacts, the Guyana Coast Guard, Maritime Services Division, IR Concilium through consultant Dr. Ian Ralby to identify the vessels and their owners. Investigations have so far revealed the vessels appear to have been bound for Guyana. However, the Guyana authorities have confirmed that neither vessel arrived as anticipated. At this stage, it is not known whether any lives have been lost. And then they go on to talk about the spill. And the TTCS has confirmed the barge was being towed by a tug, the Solo Creed from Panama. So, well, all the news could see them thing then. Destined for Guyana. So the tug is the Solo Creed, which originated in Panama. You see why you must read the releases. Destined for Guyana. Satellite imagery also shows the Solo Creed towing an object on the 4th of February 2024. The National Coastal Surveillance Radar Center was able to use this information to track the vessel, and it ends there. So, thanks, Dennis. So they've identified the tugboat as the Solo Creed. As we were saying before, if you know where it's coming, where it's heading to, you would have to know the name. And the barge may not have a name. The barge may just be a barge, with a registration number.
Yeah.
So they didn't know where it came from, and they know it was going. But this was released apparently. The release came yesterday afternoon. And apparently the information was not sent to the Tobago House of Assembly before it was released publicly. So Chief Secretary Augustine said that he feels the THA has been disrespected. I would imagine they should have sent that information to the THA first, given that they're working with them and given that Tobago is directly involved, even more so than Trinidad. But you know how these things go. So they know the name of the vessel, they know where it come from. This is the tugboat. And if the barge is run aground, why didn't the tugboat send a message to its point of origin or its point of destination, or find a way to tell, or maybe they lost it somewhere in the sea and they know where it ended up.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Is the tugboat destroyed too, or sunk?
No,
too?
all we don't know.
We don't know.
Maybe, but the barge is the one that ran aground on the reef in Tobago and started spilling the hydrocarbons. So I don't know. Well, it doesn't seem like the tugboat made its original destination of Guyana. So maybe that ran into some problems in the open sea also, and and that's why.
Now remember too.
About the drama.
Remember too, last week it was very windy, so I don't know if that had a part to play in it. Looking at no, extra windy because there were warnings.
There was some marine hazard alert.
Yeah, not only for Trinidad but up the islands. The last known position was on February 4th. It was traveling in an easterly direction of 5.8 knots.
So the tugboat is still part of the mystery too, because it's not yet located.
Exactly. Yeah. And the crew, what happened to the crew?
Well, yeah.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting that maybe the tugboat ran into some problems, and it may not have drifted as far south as Trinidad and Tobago. But if you're heading to Guyana as your final destination or your destination for this load, and you end up the barge ends up running aground in Tobago, it's unless that's where the currents flow, it suggests they may have achieved quite a bit of their journey, and the tugboat may have run into problems. And that's why no media was sent to either Panama, Guyana, or Tobago, or Trinidad and Tobago. More questions and answers. Meantime, I guess the owners of the tugboat may now have some money to spend, or the owners of the load that they were putting it for, because it's causing quite a bit of environmental issues in Tobago at the cost of, according to Alan Stewart yesterday when he spoke to us, millions of dollars, as one would imagine that's costing. So,
Yeah.
let's say the Cabo Star is going to be back on track soon, if not today, to be able to take more equipment to pick up more of the spillage
Yeah.
and try to contain more. So,
I
we'll
mean,
see how
I'm not that familiar with the world of the sea and how all of that works legally, but I assume they would have insurance, and the insurance would probably.
exactly. Maritime ship staff would have insurance. Well, they should if all was working as it should.
Yeah, they should have insurance
Yeah. So,
to cover
but
to cover all
but
that.
the insurance may be to cover the ships and not environmental damage.
Well, if you're doing that kind of cargo, that should be one of the issues that you cover, because those sorts of accidents can happen.
Couldn't happen. Yeah. But I would imagine so. But I don't have a lot of faith in insurance. So insurance works for insurance companies. Ask anybody who banks the car. The run around years get sometimes, very often, for all the years you put in money and never claim. But the one bounce your car. The run around years get after you put it in money in insurance for years and never claim nothing. Am I wrong?
Preach.
And you bounce your car and you're getting run around for weeks.
And then that wonderful word they like to hear that you call excess.
Yeah. Oh yes. The excess. So all the money you put in and you claim on is not excess. You understand? But if it goes above a certain amount, it's excess that you have to pay.
That's the excess. God, hey.
Yeah,
I was watching. Interestingly,
mankind has initiated.
Interestingly, Paul, I was watching a program, one of the podcasts I watch on YouTube, which is called Diary of a CEO, because I find he interviews Steve Bartlett, I think is his name, interviews a lot of interesting people. A lot of them related to health and stuff, and one of this is people who are, making strides in their fields around the planet. And one of them was this guy who's a biologist who used to work for years, like 20-something years in the life insurance industry. And he said and they were part of the team. He was part of the team that analyzed. As I said, he's a biologist. And he has other titles. I just can't remember all of what they are. And he said, but he was part of the team, and they would actually look at all of the information that you submitted and life insurance, your medical records and stuff like that. And their job was to predict on what day to the month, not the exact day, but what month in the future they think you're going to die on the basis of your medical records. And he said they could, because of the amount of data, they could, with reasonable with a reasonable degree of success, could actually predict the day on which you're going to die. Not the day, the month.
And the year.
Wow. And he said it's pretty accurate. And he says the insurance industry has so much, that data pool that the insurance has is incredible.
What's the name of the podcast?
Diary of a CEO. And he says that insurance companies are among the most profitable companies. He said when banks went into recession and banks collapsed and stuff like that, he said no insurance companies collapsed.
Richard Ragoobarsingh, I have been saying something for years, and they could get back if they want. There are two incredible sleights of hand schemes that mankind has invented. One is bottled water, because it's God is make the water. And the other one is insurance. That they've weaved its way into every society, that you almost can't do nothing major in your life without buying insurance for it. Not so?
Yeah.
You can't do nothing. You can't drive a car. You can't take a loan in some instances. You can't get a mortgage for a house. Bottled water and insurance are two of the most amazing concoctions mankind in the business world has ever come up with.
Yeah.
and they never lose.
Yeah, he said no. He said no insurance companies collapsed during that time.
They never lose. Insurance companies never lose. They always have some clause you didn't see, some 0.05 microns text size that they put on the paper that no human being could read. That there.
Yep.
Or you didn't see this clause. But I can't read that. As a matter of fact, I saw a case once in the US where somebody won. The insurance company had this tiny writing that put a provision in case X and Y, and the insurance company said we don't have to pay because this clause is printed here, and the person took them to court, and the judgment was that the size of the text was clearly intended to deceive the purchaser of the insurance, because everything is listed in size. You almost try to hide it with the size of text. Insurance companies. Them, and third in line, tobacco companies. They're killing millions every year, and they're stronger than ever.
Yep.
Tobacco companies.
But what was interesting about him, and because he's also a biologist, and he calls himself a biohacker, and he says a lot of one of the statements he made, and I'm paraphrasing it maybe badly, but he says where there's the presence of oxygen, there is an absence of disease. And he says, no matter what you talk about in the human body, it always comes down to the lack of oxygen, that you're not getting enough oxygen because of whatever it is that you are deficient in terms of the biomarkers in your system. And a lot of the fixes is really the replacement of what you are deficient in. And there is something called a methylation profile that you can do as part of your DNA testing that can show you what you're actually deficient in. And he says, but medicine doesn't approach it like that way. What medicine does is approaches it as a generic and therefore sometimes prescribing you stuff that you don't really need because it's a fit all for if you have these kinds of symptoms.
And let me jump down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories. And pharmaceutical companies have no interest in curing you.
Yeah.
If they cure you, they lose a customer. So manage it into your old age. There are very few medicines that are designed to cure you. Okay? Because if they cure you, they lose a customer. Anyway, what else is happening in Sweet TNT? Well, the results have come out. And an interesting ruling yesterday by Justice Frank C. Prasad, who said that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service does not have the lawful authority to release mugshots of individuals who are charged with criminal offenses to the public. High Court ruling. Mugshot images are captured for a specific purpose under Section 50 of the Police Service Act and does not include public dissemination. Justice C. Prasad ruled yesterday. He said it was clearly stated, and the mugshot images, were only to be used in the course of prosecution of criminal offenses, including the preparation of internal police files to advance any instituted prosecution. He said the TTPS was not allowed to publish mugshots, and there was no prohibition of publishing other photographs of the accused individuals that may be already in the public domain, including social media, which makes sense in terms of a ruling, because we've seen mugshots posted already. I guess particularly if people have multiple offenses, they may have been booked for something and the police are looking for them if they escaped, or if they have a subsequent offense or allegations of a subsequent offense. So the High Court has ruled that the police should not be using those, but it's unlawful for the police to use those unless it's internal or preparation for a case.
Okay.
Law is very specific.
Yeah.
If anyone understands law is very, very specific, and that is to protect the rights of people. And I haven't seen the video, thank God no one sent it to me, but apparently there's a video circulating, or there was a video circulating on social media with someone who appeared to be a female adult gyrating on a minor male.
I saw that. Well, if I'm thinking it's what you're talking about. So the little boy was behind her, and then there was like I don't know where it was, but obviously like a security worker, not a police officer, somebody in one of those things that just grabbed the little boy and pulled him to the side. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Pulled him to the side, and like that's not appropriate. Like pulling the little boy to the side and putting him at the side.
But well, good for that person. Good for that person, because the police are now investigating. Because gyrating on a child in that manner, a little boy in that manner, can be considered a kind of sexual touching of a child, which is contrary to Section 19 of the Children's Act. And people do this foolishness all the time. You understand? It's not the first or second or third time we've seen that. You understand? You should not be doing that to a child and engaging a child in that sort of way.
Kind of on Monday or Tuesday, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, so the police are looking for that that female who would have seemingly engaged in that act. Right? So, but the big story continues. It's interesting comment from the.
Did we ever speak about the decision? As you brought up court, it just came to my mind, Paul. The decision also, I can't remember which judge it was, with the issue of the height of police officers.
We spoke about it briefly last week, but we can continue the conversation because I saw. For those who may not have heard, a police officer, I think something Mirage, did not apply to be a police officer, who and was refused. Yeah, Paul Prince Boarding Justice Mohammed made the ruling. Eligibility, he was ineligible to be a police officer because he did not fulfill the mandatory. I think it's 167 centimeters. I could be wrong, right? But that sticks in my head for some reason. He was maybe 161 centimeters. So he did not fulfill. He took it to court, and I think all the way to the High Court, and won. And because the judge said it is incompatible with the Constitution of equality of treatment, the constitutional premise of equality of treatment. The man have no control over what height he is. You understand?
Yeah. So it was discriminatory. They said it was discriminatory.
Discriminatory. And I think he got about $400,000 broken up in vindictory damages and something else, right? I saw Minister Hines, the Minister of National Security, saying that they're more than likely to be an appeal. And one of the reasons, and this is what I'm seeing in the newspaper, so I can't confirm if the minister actually said this, but it was hilarious to say the least. He said we need to be able to, according to the newspapers, he said we need to be able to see our police officers. No, we have no break in transmission. We just all lost our words. He said, according to the newspapers, Minister Fitzgerald Hines said, if you're too short, you can't see you. I mean, I tell you, these things, if that is true, the things that come out of politicians' mouths sometimes. So if you're 165 centimeters, they could see you. If you're 167 centimeters, they can see you. But if you're 165 centimeters, they can't see you. Okay. And it applies to male officers, I think, only. Which to me makes it even worse. You understand? Because I think the regulation for eligibility applies to male officers. I mean, you know?
I was trying to look for the direct quote online.
Look at, I'm going to read. Good morning, Rena Jennings. She said only negativity every morning, starting off the day in a negative light. So Rena Jennings didn't hear us congratulate Michael Tasia at all and talk about how wonderful it is. Rena Jennings didn't hear that at all.
And the bands of the years.
And the bands of the, she didn't hear that at all. She's just hearing us talking about.
What negative have we spoken about? What have we spoken about that's negative this morning?
The judgment must be negative.
Steve, any judgment.
Look for some good news.
I think any judgment that includes or fights discrimination is positive.
Well, apparently is negative for some people.
So, and if we find something funny, I don't know how that's a negative. But anyway, National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines has defended the TNT Police Service's height requirements for recruits, adding that visibility is an important aspect to policing. Hines made the remarks during a handover ceremony of TTPS and Defense Force vehicles at the Vehicle Management Company of Trinidad and Tobago in Laventille yesterday. On Thursday, of course, this is an older article because we're talking about a story that was last week. On Thursday, High Court Judge Robin Mohammed ruled in favor of Ronaldo Mirage, who sued the state after being excluded from recruitment for not meeting the minimum height requirements of 167 centimeters. Mirage's attorneys, led by Anand Ramlogan, senior counsel, argued that the height requirement was unconstitutional and discriminated against candidates of certain ethnic groups and women. Mohammed ruled that Mirage's constitutional rights to equality were breached. During his address, Hines referred to the judgment, adding that it concerned him as a minister as he felt the height requirements were necessary. He said having officers of a certain height was necessary in situations where visibility was key. And this is a quotation. In my view, as a citizen, from a common sense perspective, you want when you post an officer in a crowd, he can be seen and not only be seen by the person who is standing immediately next to him. Despite this, Hines maintained the matter was not over yet, as there were plans to appeal the judgment. So that gives you the context, the full context of how and when it was said. Even though there are many circumstances where height may not be an issue in terms of a police officer, since you have many police officers based in police stations, as well as undercover work, etc. Height might be an advantage. A short man might be an advantage.
Think about it. Richard, you have to think about it in a holistic way.
Yeah.
Suppose they have to deploy this officer in a crowd. You may not be able to see the officer.
Well, I think that's what he is saying.
So he should be, but of course I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. Anyway, the court ruled, so they said they may appeal. I don't know what they appeal. Well, they said it seems as if they are going to appeal. I shouldn't say. And so we'll see what the Court of Appeal has to say about it.
Listrology, right?
But discrimination is discrimination. Because there's a lot of discrimination that also takes place on age, especially. And that remember age, I don't think age was ever included in the Equal Opportunities Act, believe it or not. And I personally think a lot of it was lobbying from the insurance industry, going back to them. Because if you can't discriminate on age, then it you remember the insurance industry does a lot of discrimination in terms of how
to protect the liability.
Yeah, to protect liability.
So
I think that was why.
If you're older, your premiums may be higher, or you may be ineligible, kind of thing like that. Yeah. If your family has a history of cancer in some instances, or your family has a history of heart disease,
and
because there are two industries in the world that I think are the most schemish. That's bottled water and insurance.
Yep. That's why when they did Obamacare, a lot of that was turned on its head in a sense, because you couldn't refuse for existing conditions. You couldn't refuse on the basis of age and all of those things. It corrected the imbalance of people's access to health insurance and stuff like that.
The insurance companies.
Yep.
Because it's all about the insurance companies not being liable to pay out money because they want to make money and keep saying. Anyway, that could be the subject of our question this morning if the audience feels that the state should appeal the height issue, the police eligibility height issue. Judgment.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, so those are some of the big stories. Of course, if you're following the international news at all, a lot of, in the last couple of weeks, I've seen an intensification of conversations around the Israel-Palestinian conflict with very, very vociferous arguments for both sides. There was a CNN and ABC news thing on Monday that I saw, which suggested that President Biden, is nearing his wit's end with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and sources were saying that he has to publicly say one thing, but of course he wants the conflict to end. In terms of the siege on Gaza, even while the U.S. is on record as supporting the Israelis' right to defend themselves, but I mean, at the stage it is now, some are saying it's gone beyond defense and it's now clearly an offensive, and of course it's very complicated. And they're saying once Hamas remains and holding hostages, Israel will not stop. So it's no matter what side you take, it's going to be you're going to get arguments. It's extremely complicated and extremely sad because, of course, children are dying by the 20,000, and hospitals are. I mean, I think they said basically 3/4 of the country has been flattened. There's a refugee camp in Rafah with 1.5 million people, and it is a humanitarian disaster.
Yep.
So I find the conversation about it online in the news media very vociferous. I mean, people go back as they would because it's a historically based conflict with so many intricacies in it. If you are not walking around with the whole thing, you could end up on the wrong side of an argument. And people are very, very passionate on both sides about it. So it's very, what's the word? Tragic is the only way I could describe it on both sides. So those are some of the big stories. So I think congratulations once again. Let's do some good news again, Richard. Please. Michael Williams, congratulations, young man. You've done very, very well. Young King Road March 2024 and top 4 Calypso Monarch. Congratulations to Marshall Montano. There's a whole lot of conversation online. But why he don't leave something for him? Why do people try to put limits on Marshall Montano all the time? I never understand it.
I don't understand that
that he leaves something for the young people. What?
I don't understand. I don't understand that kind of argument.
Because the conversation is so puerile. That why Marshall don't leave? Why? Why shouldn't excellence be a constant pursuit for somebody if they so desire?
Yeah.
Congratulations to Lost Tribe. The Fly won 2024 Band of the Year competition, large band. And also Ronnie and Caro and Paparazzi, 2nd and 3rd respectively. Medium band, Kinetic Mass, Yokoso, Peter Samuel and his crew. K2K Alliance, The Salt, and Image Nation Juve in 3rd. And I'll try to get the small band category and individuals for you later on this morning. Of course, the most popular character for Carnival was...
The most popular character for Carnival?
Olmar's character.
Oh, Karen.
Karen
jumping over the fence?
Yeah. Karen was jumping over the fence. I mean, there were so many iterations of that.
Yeah, which was also mentioned briefly by Nikki last night in her updated performance. So she does reference that incident.
Ian Joseph said,
all the people came out last night to the Central Bank auditorium.
How was it?
It went well. And Nikki had good fun on stage. Good fun. The audience was having a time. So of course it continues tonight and Friday. 2 more nights of Nikki, and then Saturday and Sunday Bacchanal, Bubble, and Bad Behavior, all happening at the Central Bank Auditorium. And you can get tickets at the Central Bank Auditorium from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily. Well, of course, 12 noon and straight through the showtime, basically. throughout the week. So, but tonight is Nikki is back at it at 8:30 and Friday at 8:30. And of course, back in our bubble and bad behavior. Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30 is Trinidad and Tobago Carnival Comedy Week on at the Central Bank Auditorium. And of course, you can check RSRR Productions theater page for all of the information with other outlets across the country, as well as purchasing tickets online. I had so much fun. I've seen the show several times, of course, and I was still laughing like a fool last night. I went into the front and was watching it from the front. Sometimes I listen at the back, backstage, because sometimes you can listening, you can, have notes because I'm one of the directors. You kind of you will have notes as anything that you felt needed to be addressed, but yeah, it was a good fun last night.
All right. Let's say good morning. Good on to Dan Raj, GNC Auto Security, Sankofa. Good morning to DX out in Alaska. Good morning to you. Marcia Rock, Paul Prudent, Ian R. Joseph, Nicola Nichols. Good morning. CPT Singh, Scorpion Pepper.
Do you have papers, Ragoobarsingh?
Christu
No, I
Seth.
don't.
That's the Craigwell.
Let me start with the Express. It's Thursday, the 15th of February. Online versions. Let's start with Express. Spill while barge towed to Guyana. Right? So, feeling emotional for the second year, Tribe won the large band title of the year. Tuco President happy to see East Indians at Calypso tents. Tuco President Ainsley King said he saw East Indians at the Calypso tents this year, which he says was a plus for him. Police can't release mugshots to public. Court judgment. Tasia, it feels like destiny. Congratulations again to him. Tobago's Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, says you will pay for this mess, ship owners told. And Tobago oil spill vessel was heading to Guyana. Let's move now to the Guardian Online. Farley accuses government of hiding info on oil spill vessel, wants owners of Solo Creek to own up and pay up. Hines, tug towing barge to Guyana behind oil spill. Michael Tasia now has road march in his DNA. Lost Tribe, kinetic, ecstatic at Port of Spain mass titles. Tuco Boss Defense Marshals Calypso Monarch win. Kalichiran wins record 30th title in South. Now, that is amazing news. Good stuff for Kalichiran, a legend in San Fernando Mass.
Yeah.
Carnival wrecks Valentine's sales for some vendors. And police officers complain about being overworked for Carnival. Well, that's part of it. Archbishop urges TNT to preserve the Lenten tradition. Are you all giving up anything for Lent? Let's move to the Newsday now. Tobago spill mystery deepens as tugboat vanishes. Michael Tasia on road march. Win. Follow your passions. Archbishop, give up phone time for Lent. Lost Tribe wins Band of the Year again. This is a Newsday, by the way. Priest, nothing wrong with playing mass and taking ashes. Kalichiran wins its 30th Band of the Year title in San Fernando. And Patience to the Government students walk against violence. Those are trending stories in your Guardian, Express, and Newsday for today, Thursday, the 15th of February, 2024.
All right. Well, let's get into this one. I have no result from yesterday.
So the way I phrased it, and I'm fighting to phrase it more clearly, you all could probably weigh in, is simply, should the state appeal the height requirement judgment? Is that explanatory enough?
Height requirement judgment for police officers.
Okay, all right.
Specific to police officers. Not, there's not a height requirement to be a teacher.
Anything? Yeah.
I don't think there's anything
right
to be a police officer. Yeah.
So the state has lost, based on such Ronald Maraj, his ineligibility, and the court has ruled it is incompatible with the equality of treatment provision in the Constitution. Minister Fitzgerald Hines says more than likely the state would appeal. Do you agree with the state appealing the height requirement judgment for police officers, as male police officers, but we leave it as police officers? Yes or no? Should the state appeal Do you agree with the state appealing that? Do you think it makes sense that the state appeal that? Yes or no? 222-TALK, 222-8255.
Simple,
Toll
yeah,
free.
simple code. Yeah,
5 to
simple
5.
code this morning. Yeah.
All right. Chris
8255, North Americans 866-525-1099, WhatsApp 868-318-1021, and of course you can also send your vote via the comment section in YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta Live, etc.
Finbar, I know it's your passion, but I don't think it was actually Frank C. Prasad made the judgment.
No, it was Mohammed.
Justice Mohammed.
Yeah, it was Justice
You see, they're going to, it is not about Frank.
Finbar said yes. Christy says no. Good morning, Carol Guevara. Paul Prudence says no. Scorpion Pepper says no to the poll. Good morning, Josie Richardson.
Should the state appeal the height requirement judgment for police officer? Yes or no? And it wasn't a Frank C. Prasad judgment, just so you know. I think it's a Justice Mohammed judgment.
Yeah. So 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app. You can send your votes via the comment section.
All right, Don Rad says yes. Josie Richardson says no. Gloria Gray says no. Max says yes. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen. Sir Grandy, no.
All right. Thank you, Grandy. Have a good one.
And that's a bit of a visceral reaction to Frank C. Prasad judgments.
All right. Should the state appeal the height requirement judgment for police officers? Yes or no?
That's our poll this morning. What says you? What do you think?
Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago says no.
Look at that name, Max Lied, or is it Laid?
I have no idea.
Max, is your name pronounced Max Lied or Max, or is that a super K?
All right, Lester Craigwell says no.
So you know, if you say no, you have no problem with shorter men being in the police service.
Good morning, Cheryl Henry.
That young man had a real praise, you know. Michael Teja.
Yeah.
And like people just have pictures with the Calypsonians line up in case who wins, so they could put it up.
See that?
It's such an interesting phenomenon. No matter who wins, they have a picture with them. And they put it up.
Oh my God.
Everybody have a picture with the winner. If Bungie win, they put a picture with them and Bungie. Congratulations, Bungie. And you would always win.
I promise I wouldn't do that if Taylor was doing anything for us.
No. What?
So, should the state appeal the height requirement judgment for police officers? So
Minister Hines says, according to common sense, officers should be visible. How was my acting there, Richard? I think officers should be, if one is to follow common sense, I think that an officer heading into the public domain, I would imagine, should be visible to members of the public. How is my Hines interpretation there?
Yes. Let's just move.
I am reserving judgment, Paul Richard.
Let's move on. Sunny San Fernando says yes to the poll. Eve out in Sugar Guanas. Good morning, Eve. Says no. All right.
I used to do a good Jennifer Baptiste Primus imitation, you know.
Jennifer Baptiste Primers.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the labor market, the Constitution says it is anathema to that.
Or drink your coffee then.
Yeah. You need some coffee, Paul.
Oh God. Hey.
Augustus K2 says yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. Cheryl Henry says no. Did I do Julia Esbety saying no?
Yeah, what's Finbar?
No, I
Finbar,
didn't.
you are
Julia Esbety
hilarious.
said no.
Finbar, you are hilarious. How will a buck handle a body cam? Finbar, Finbar. Why are you every short person is a buck? Come, Finbar. Apologize again for that. Yeah, on a roll this morning. So every short person is a buck, right? Come on. Right now, the top ones here where nobody comes. We're worried about. Body cam don't seem to be coming to the police service anytime soon on a continuous basis.
Marcia Rock says yes. Should the state appeal the height requirement judgment for police officers? Yes or no?
Oh, no, that's our poll. Of course, this judgment will have come out over the carnival week. Well, over the carnival weekend. I think it was around Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember exactly which day. We are tackling it this morning as we head towards the weekend, because the weekend begins tonight, people, at a second after midnight. Can you believe it? It's Thursday already.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it makes sense that police officers should have a height requirement, a minimum height requirement? That's basically the question.
Yeah.
Adrian Coutu says no, the state should not appeal. Right? Should the state appeal? Minister Hines has indicated more than likely the state would appeal because he believes that visibility should be an issue with police officers. So, and in his mind, I guess the rationale is officers should not be too short, so the members of the public can see them, particularly in a crowded area. So then, by dint of logic, shouldn't police officers be able to run to? Like run down bandits or run down suspects? Because some of them can't run down no suspects.
Well,
just saying.
Paul sips coffee.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how to answer that, but yes.
Don't.
There are some who may be compromised in being able to
I like that. Some will be compromised. Okay.
In to be effectively chase
give chase to an alleged suspect.
Yes.
I saw one recently, actually.
An alleged suspect?
Maybe an officer who may be compromised. Maybe he's confined to desk duty. And he no longer is required to run down alleged suspects. Sometimes, when you go up in the ranks, you do more strategic planning and administrative stuff. Ish from Malik says, yes, the state should appeal. Should the state appeal the height requirement judgment for police officers? The state has been told by the courts, the High Court, that essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, discrimination based on a height requirement is incompatible with the constitutional provision of equality of treatment. So not because somebody's short, you should say they can't come in the police service. Minister Hines has responded and said more than likely the state will appeal because he believes if one espouses a common sense approach that an officer, a male officer, because this applies to male officers to my knowledge alone, should be visible. And if one is below 167 centimeters, he may be not visible to the public and maybe not able to offer some resistance or authority in certain situations. Anthony Miguel says no, the state should not.
I was trying to look at it. What the state, what the height requirement would be like for the NYPD or in Texas and stuff. But it seems that several police departments have dropped the height requirement. They may previously have had it, but they dropped it.
Remember that once upon a time you had to have an arch in your foot,
Yeah, so
you couldn't have a flat foot, because the presumption that if your foot flat, you can't run fast. Oh gosh, no, I ain't able to. It's 7 o'clock.
That's right, my friends. That is right. Let's get into our major news with the ever so gorgeous Avi Sidhill. Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Local Coast Guard confirms at least 2 vessels were involved in the oil spill incident that has been engaging the attention of multiple agencies in Trinidad and Tobago. The TPS investigates video of adults encouraging inappropriate behavior of a minor. Macaltasia wins 2024 Road March and Lost Tribe Large Band of the Year, while Kinetic Mass wins the medium category, and several injured in shooting at Super Bowl parade in Kansas City, USA. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard has confirmed at least 2 vessels were involved in the oil spill incident that has been engaging the attention of multiple agencies in Trinidad and Tobago. It says even as investigations are continuing, video footage and other information obtained by the TTCG has confirmed the 2 vessels are a tugboat and a barge. The Ministry of National Security is collaborating with other local and regional agencies to identify the vessels and their owners. Investigations have thus far revealed the vessels appear to have been bound for Guyana. However, the Guyanese authorities have confirmed that neither vessel arrived as anticipated at this stage. It is not known whether any lives have been lost in the incident. Macaltasia is the 2024 Road March winner. The announcement was made by Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization's President Ainsley King at a news briefing on Wednesday afternoon. Tasia's DNA song was played 341 times at various judging points during the 2 days of Carnival festivities. Second place went to 2023's Road March winner Ian Bungie Garland Alvarez. His Carnival contract song was played 225 times. Patrice Roberts' Anxiety placed 3rd, playing 48 times. Meanwhile, the Lost Tribe has won the 2024 Large Band of the Year with 858 points. The results were announced at the media conference by President of the TT Carnival Bands Association, Dr. Rosalind Gabriel. Coming in second place was Ronnie and Caro's Bushfire presentation with 848 points, and rounding out the top 3 was Paparazzi's Ioka with 811 points.
In 4th position, Trinidad All-Stars Fleets in a voyage to Zanzibar, 791 points. In 3rd position, Paparazzi Carnival, Ihoko the Forgotten Trail, 811 points. In 2nd position, Ronnie and Caro Mass Band, Bushfire, The Rising of New Life, Creative, 848 points. And in position number 1, The Lost Tribe, Fly, 858 points. And ladies and gentlemen, the overall Band of the Year winner, The Lost Tribe, with their presentation for 2024, Fly. Congratulations to all the winners.
In the medium category, Kinetic Mass, with their presentation, Yokoso came out on top with 894 points. Second was K2K Alliance, The Salt Crossing, with 876 points. And third, Image Nations Juve with 761 points.
In 4th position, Exusha Mass, Safari, 717 points. 3rd position, Image Nation, Juve is their portrayal, 761 points. In 2nd position, K2K Alliance and Partners, The Salt Crossing, Desert Season, 807. And in 1st position, Kinetic Mass, Yoko's, 894 points.
The governing body for Calypso has a business model. It is confident the plan will be a success. Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization President Ainsley King says this concept is critical and has been developed in spite of the various challenges being faced by the organization.
Because we are not gods unto ourselves. We are Tuko. We intend to work with a business model. This is not a free-for-all or eat a food anymore. It's about us building revenue. It's about us building assets. It's about us giving Calypso some respect. That is what it is. And people, the changes will cost people. I know it will cost, it's different, and this is what changes does, and I understand. But wait and give us a chance, because the results is going to explain. Don't rush us.
At a news briefing on Wednesday, King said there have been some encouraging signs during the carnival season, which TUCO plans to capitalize upon.
Every single challenge we inherited, people not coming to the tent, people not having the respect for Calypso, Calypso not being seen as relevant as it should. And we had a complementary culture at Skinner Park, which continued to put us in a position where we saw large numbers of patrons or people coming to the event. And when you look at what we read, the revenue collected, it didn't make sense. It couldn't add up. But this year, I believe we will see a difference, because we were able to shut down the hemorrhaging, because it had a lot of hemorrhages from inside and outside.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is actively investigating a video circulating on social media showing an adult female gyrating on a minor. The investigation will determine if the offense of sexual touching of a child has been committed contrary to Section 19 of the Children Act. Section 19 of the Act states where a person touches a child and the touching is sexual and the child is under 16 years of age, the person commits an offense. The Act further states a person who commits this offense is liable on summary conviction to a fine of 50,000 TT dollars and imprisonment for 10 years, or on conviction on indictment to imprisonment for 20 years. Additionally, if the touching involves the placing of any body part or an object onto the child's genitalia, that person is liable on conviction on indictment to imprisonment for life. Meanwhile, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is urging the public to desist from sharing this video, as doing so may amount to child pornography contrary to Section 40 of the Children Act. This section of the Act states a person who knowingly publishes, distributes, transmits, or shows any child pornography, or who obtains access through information and communication technologies to child pornography, or has in his possession or control any child pornography, or purchases, exchanges, or otherwise receives child pornography, commits an offense and is liable to conviction on indictment to a fine of 30,000 TT dollars and imprisonment for 10 years. A person who knowingly distributes child pornography to another person is also committing an offense under the Act and could be subject to a fine and/or imprisonment if convicted. Persons who may have information that can assist the police with this investigation are being asked to contact 800-TIPS or call the police at 555-999-911 or any police station. 37-year-old Karen Lewis, who escaped lawful custody while being escorted on Friday, February 9, 2024, has been recaptured by a team of police officers. According to a police report, around 4 p.m. on February 13th, 2024, officers were on mobile patrol when, based on information received, they proceeded to Maharaj Avenue, San Juan. While there, they observed the escapee, Karen Lewis, at a pharmacy in the area. He surrendered and was arrested and taken into police custody. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service thanks the public for their assistance in locating Karen Lewis. In sporting news, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force cricketers will resume play on day 2 today of their 4-day match against West Indies Academy on 128 for 3. They are still trailing Academy by 35 runs. The game will continue at 10 a.m. at Connery Sports Club, St. Kitts. On Wednesday, 3 wickets for Jaden Seals and Anderson Phillip and 2 for spinner Kari Pair helped restrict West Indies Academy for 163 all out. Teddy Bishop top scored with 63 runs. Red Force first game against defending champions Guyana ended in a result after rain and bad light interrupted play for 3 days. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, police say several people have been shot in Kansas City, Missouri in the U.S. after a Super Bowl victory parade. The shots were fired west of Union Station, near to where thousands had gathered for a parade on Wednesday. The number of injured is unclear, although a fire department official told the Associated Press that 8 to 10 people had been hit. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today until midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, generally sunny, hazy, and breezy despite the low chance of the brisk shower, mostly clear night. A moderate concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere, and sensitive persons are being advised to continue to take the necessary precautions. The Meteorological Office is also advising that a hazardous alert yellow level remains in effect. A hazardous seas alert remains in effect. You can expect a temperature high of 32 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco is 24 degrees Celsius and 25 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, local Coast Guard confirms at least 2 vessels were involved in the oil spill incident that has been engaging the attention of multiple agencies in Trinidad and Tobago. The TTPS investigates the video of an adult encouraging inappropriate behavior of a minor. Macaltasia wins 2024 Road March, Lost Tribe Large Band of the Year, and Kinetic Mass Medium category. And several injured in shooting at Super Bowl parade in Kansas City, U.S. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief. And then at noon with Sir Charles for major news again. Taking a look at traffic-wise, heavier than yesterday from Piarco towards Huey. And pretty much from the interchange from Valsay to Port of Spain, a little bit of traffic come out of Maraval and Diego Martin. Head down south, see what's happening there. Gawler Corner Connector Road, you've got some Point of Pier to Claxton Bay. Also got some traffic, but the Solo is not too bad. Usual stuff by Chase Village. And then pretty much by Monroe Road, just after Monroe Road towards interchange, you've got some traffic there. All right, gentlemen, let's see if we have any more votes. I have Ivan Joseph saying yes. Marval on the road saying no. I've got Cascade St. Anne's saying no on WhatsApp. Yeah. And that's it.
People keep asking what the body cam will see on the short officer. They ain't wearing a body cam now, so we're worried about that for.
Yeah.
Well, our poll this morning was, should the state appeal the height requirement judgment for police officers? We had 24 people voting on the poll this morning, according to all of the votes I recorded. I could be in error, but meaning that I didn't count all, but I got 24. Of the 24, 15 of you said no, you do not think that the state should appeal. 9 of you said yes, they should. So 15 of you said no, 9 of you said they should. They should appeal. 15 of you said no, they should not. I was trying to look up at different states in the United States, see what they were height requirements, but from what I'm seeing, a lot of those height requirements were done away with.
Yeah.
And so that it's not a limitation of being a police officer in most states in the United States, from what I could see. So, and I assume in other jurisdictions they did away with those height restrictions. So.
And how much crowd work police do anyway? Because some officers stay and
you have different units.
They have different units. They could work. They could do the gender and thing unit. They could work several units. So I just see that you have, not all officers could run.
That's true.
Yeah. So I mean,
so I
understand. And these things they need to evolve. I understand. I may have understood it years ago when it was a police force. When it was a police force, now it's a police service. They have various units, and police perform so many different functions. They're community police, Say what? I interesting conversations over the last couple of days over the Calypso Monarch, and the Road March. And as I said last week, I'm not surprised that Mikel Teja won the Road March, because there's some songs, for example, Bunji Garlin has a Cannibal Contract is a great song, but it more appeals to younger masqueraders in the bigger carnival bands, like the Tribes and the Bliss and stuff. And Mikel Teja, to me, appealed to everybody. You saw the children singing it, the older masqueraders with the bands with the older demographics chose that. The individuals who crossed the stage, you understand? The small Indian bands, the African bands, the Blue Devils, it had more of a widespread appeal, in my opinion. So that's why I was absolutely sure it was going to win. And you would also get the community carnivals would have a tendency to choose the slower songs also. So it would always have had a wider appeal. As for Marshall Montano and the Calypso Monarch, I'm not surprised he won. I think he won. The lyrics are okay. I don't think the lyrics are Pulitzer Prize winning lyrics. You understand? It's not like a calypso music by David Rudder, but Marshall Montano is an excellent showman and understands stagecraft and understands production value. So when you looked at his presentation, as with Skinner Park in San Fernando semifinals, you saw a higher level of production, and you saw his 40-something years of experience on the stage coming to life.
You know what I wanted to talk about it and Marshall's production values in terms of his performance. You know what he understands? He understands what I'm going to call the pacing of performance, which to a large part, let me choose my words carefully, which to a large part you did not see in terms of some of the general opening numbers and stuff in the Mardi Gras. And when I say pacing of a performance, when you're doing a performance like what Marshall would have done, and if you looked at it and you looked at it critically, it's paced. Because when you're doing a performance, you want to start at a particular point. You want to build. You want to build. You want to have a climax. You want to build. And so you want to keep the audience completely invested and going more and more into your performance and what you've done. And so at the end, it becomes this big finale, and you end radam. And you can see that pacing so clearly in Marshall's performance. You know, it starts off at this point, and then when he lifts it is when the children came out, and then he lifts it with the group choreography. Then he lifts it when he went into a soca thing. Then he went into a raga thing. So he keeps carrying up the pace and carrying up the investment of the audience into what you're seeing, the pacing of the entire performance. And sometimes the Mardi Gras, in terms of the performance and the costuming that they used, lacked that pace.
Well, the inexperienced ones bring out everything one time.
Right.
So there's nothing to build to. There's nothing to build to.
So it just remained static after a point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was just performers performing, and the backdrop was just whatever it was. So I think, you know, Davlin probably could pay more attention in terms of that pacing and how the pacing of the show and the pacing of performances and how it keeps an audience going like this. I mean, you can't do much about people because it's a competition. You can't do much about individual performances, but in terms of the overall connection and synergy of the show and how that impacts an audience, you know, it's something that made. I don't think it was horrible, but I mean, I've seen worse Mardi Gras, I would say that. But I felt that kind of thing sometimes in some of the Mardi Gras performances and our competitors suffered from the lack of that kind of pacing in terms of the visual element. But Marshall understood it. And if you look at Marshall's performance again, and you could see how he builds the performance.
And also if you looked at him, and yes, everyone would have pulled out most, if not all, the stops for the Mardi Gras night. You saw a progression of production level from Little Carib to Skinner Park to the Mardi Gras.
Yep.
With Marshall. You saw the production
until the end.
You saw the show changing, you know, kind of thing. And you understood that this person understand, because as I said last week, he puts on a 2.5 hour show for Mashal Monday. So 7 minutes is nothing for him. I think strategically, although I think he won, people. I mean, we could debate whether Karina Shea won, he won. I think the top three for me, any of the three who could have won on that night, easily based on all the criteria, would have been Mashal, Helon Francis, and Karina Shea.
Yeah.
You understand? In terms of everything, in terms of lyrics, presentation, uniqueness, originality combined, and because they would have all had a little stronger in each one for each one, because what Helon missed in showmanship, he had in lyrics and presentation. Karine had a bit of both, so I think any of the three could have won. I think strategically, however, and this is just my understanding how entities like Tuko operate, Mashal winning is a plus for them for many different reasons. One, he re-energized interest in Calypso Monarch this year. There's no two ways about it, which is a great thing. And two, Mashal winning ensures he's there again next year to defend.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So there's continuity.
Yeah. Because he will defend the crown next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He will defend the crown, and there's nothing stopping him from writing another one or getting somebody to write one for him. But knowing Mashal, he writes it himself anyway. But I think all in all, and the fact that, like as I said yesterday, the fact we're talking about it in years gone by, we wouldn't even be talking about Calypso Monarch again today. There would not have been the kind of interest we saw, which is a good thing. Tuko needs to now capitalize on this. And there was also a debate on whether or not Michael Tasia's DNA was a Calypso. Calypso is soca, soca is Calypso. That argument is mute. And Tuko has to evolve if you are to encourage younger people to come and participate. The grandstand was full for the first time in years. You know why?
Not that we can tell as we can tell as the TV audience.
That we can tell. But that is also fantastic. I think they need to find a way, if they're gonna, because they ain't been in no carnival center in a year. They're gonna have the North Stand there. It is important that they find a way to design drop downs for the front of the North Stand to block off the seats. I think no matter what you do, it's not going to look like a great show unless you do that.
Yeah.
So get these long drop downs. You have to do the whole width of the North Stand, but certainly where the cameras are picking up on most of the main backstage area. So that when the shots go out, you see Welcome to TNT Carnival or something of that nature. You understand?
Yes.
As the overall backdrop that eliminates those upright poles and the chairs or the empty scaffolding or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It is not the best visual. And you can start to build after that on a show. I think there's a lot of work to do still on building the show and the aesthetics in a venue like that. That's very difficult to operate in from a television perspective. It's very, very difficult. So good. I think it was a good carnival overall. I again thank the protective services who sacrificed their time. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, the Coast Guard who were working in Tobago, the fire services, the ambulance services. Who else? The Port of Spain and San Fernando and other city corporations who cleaned up immediately after. The SRPs, the traffic wardens, everyone who would have contributed in the NCC, NCBA, Tuko, Trinbago, I think did an excellent job, and Beverly Ramsey Moore. I think all the stakeholders really came together to put on a really good carnival this year. Really, really good carnival, and kudos to
all of those people who are in charge of getting the city back in order every single day after whatever event. I mean, some really incredible work. And I mean, I was
by 2 in the morning, but it was clean.
Yeah, I mean, on Carnival Saturday into Sunday, that was when I had my my overnight landing on the avenue and stuff. And I mean, you could see cleanup happening right in front of your eyes. people were starting to clean up and stuff like that. Even I remember when I went to an event the week prior to Carnival, it had some event because at certain points they blocked up the R. Peter Avenue, certain blocks to have certain events. And post those events, you had those cleaners on the street cleaning up, moving through people. I mean, asking people to step aside while they cleaned. So, kudos to the organization of all of those cleaning teams after events and throughout the entire Carnival period. I'm sure it's no easy feat.
Yeah, so good on them. So, we can open the phone lines when Steve gets back. 222-TALK, 222-8255, 866-525-1099. You can direct WhatsApp messages. Direct those to 868-318-1021. We will see how this thing in Tobago evolves. We take your calls on that conversation about police officers' height eligibility criteria. And I think the House sits tomorrow and debates the 3 names that would have been sent for Deputy Commissioner of Police, which have been there for a while. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of police and police height and all of that, it was quite interesting, Carnival. A few measures of virality and controversies and bacchanals. A lot of bacchanals in the last week. Bacchanals right, bacchanals left, and bacchanals center. As Carnival is wont to deliver.
It does.
And bacchanal continues.
I'm taken to watching. I don't know why, but I'm taken to watching some of the.
And bacchanal continues.
Oh, of course it does. At the Central Bank Auditorium. Trinidad and Tobago Carnival Comedy Week is on at the Central Bank Auditorium every night this week until Sunday. Of course, it resumes again tonight. It started last night. Nikki Crosby's 50-ish and still hot AF, the Carnival edition. She continues tonight at 8:30 at Central Bank Auditorium. So you should get your tickets. You need to see Nikki. She is hilarious. Get those tickets at Central Bank Auditorium, which opens from 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily. And of course, straight through to showtime, basically. And you can also get tickets at all of the outlets across Trinidad and Tobago, which include Electronics in Arima, Jabili Rawi in Tunapuna, K-Squared Fashions in West Mall and East Gates in Trinity. Brentwood Mall, your Creme Fresh at Brentwood Mall for those of you in the Chigonas area. That's where you can get tickets. Chamflet Auto Services and Tony's Florals in Valpark Shopping Plaza. And of course, where else again? Am I missing out somebody? Oh, of course I am. The St. James outlets, Crosby's in St. James and Rombucks in St. James. You can get tickets there. I know some outlets would have sold out some of their tickets already, so you probably need to call and check. You can check the information for their telephone numbers and stuff on RSRR Productions theater page, and you can also see how to purchase tickets online, but you can also check all the outlets and the telephone numbers and maybe call, depending on where you are, to make sure that your outlet closest to you has tickets. I know some of them sold out some of their tickets, for some of the nights.
Slick Money Group, the Senate does not debate the DCP list. It's only debated in the House. Good morning, Zena.
Yeah. So you can take some of your calls. We still talking post-Carnival. 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099.
Mrs. Zara to clean up Central Bank this morning. How she missing this morning, so?
Who's that?
Mrs. Zara. Good morning to Bradley Snell from the Netherlands.
Good morning, Bradley. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Referring to the police height, I find it really strange that height restriction only applies to male applicants, because for Carnival, I've seen some very short female police officers. So they need to look into a little biasness where sex is concerned, right? And Of course, I would understand that the Minister of National Security would appeal that matter. What was the Minister of National Security before he became a minister? A lawyer, right?
No,
Yes,
he
he's a
wasn't.
lawyer. Yes, he is
He's
a lawyer.
not. He wasn't a lawyer. He is a lawyer, but he was also a police officer.
He is a lawyer, right? And in this state of awareness in the world and wokeness, like they call it that now, wokeness in the world, that is a losing battle.
No, we don't know that.
In that case, in this state of wokeness, with discrimination for simple things of height, sex, gender, color, is a losing battle in this state of where the world is today. Only people seem to will gain from that lawsuit, from that appeal, is lawyers. And the only people that will profit from that is a losing battle. Right? Especially when you do the analysis and you have very short female police officers, but you want to pull the work for males who want to apply. It's very sexist. All right?
All right. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Yes. Well, let me first start off and say that I find this year's carnival was excellent, well organized, all different fronts, right? With reference to the height requirements, I have a different view. Now, I think, Richard, you had brought it up whereby certain states in the United States of America, they had disbanded that requirement. But what some of the learned police officers have stated, they saw an increase in terms of the police using other forceful means because of, imagine you are 5 feet and the average height of the community could be about 6 feet. And you have to apprehend that individual, right? And I think that the height requirement is based on an average. So what Lincoln had stated that it's only reference to male, I think it's also reference to female, but female obviously will be at a lesser height than the male applicants who coming in. And that's based on the national average. And it applies to all arms of national security, be it male, female, be it police, fire, whatever. But the question that judgment raised to me, I don't see it only applying to the police force itself, but does it also apply to other institutions? For example, someone who's weighing 250 pounds, does my constitutional right, the requirements I enter as a air hostess, does that debar me from becoming an air hostess? No, I just asked that question because that is what comes to my opinion. And if it is that the requirement, according to the judgment, then what is the minimum height that someone's supposed to enter the police service when it is that your primary function is operational? All right? So anyone who's working admin work can be called out to perform operational duties as a police officer.
Remember, there is what you have to remember though is there's a higher burden from a constitutional point of view on the state not to discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk air hostess, you're talking private institution. If you're talking about private companies, there may be more leeway in certain issues, for example. But in terms of the Constitution, the issue of equality of treatment is regard to state and state machinery should treat people equally. And of course, the police service is very much part of the state machinery. So I think that's where you're going to get the difference. But I hear your larger point, and it's an issue that case by case goes to court. So that if a flight attendant, for example, as the example you brought up, who may be over the weight limit, they're entitled to take it to court and say, well, look, am I being discriminated against?
No, but what happens with the flight attendant? That's a weird example because with the flight attendant, it is a matter of safety and aisle size.
Well,
You understand? So that's a different case in many, because they used to, flight attendants used to get fat memos before, you know, but they would put some flight attendants, if they got larger than the aisle side, made it safer to pass through, or they couldn't slip into the seat to let the trolley pass. But with police officers, for example, you may go into the service at a particular size and put on weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
While you're in
is
the service, you can't carry out the service at that point. You understand?
But there is provisions under the police fire, wherever the case may be, that you have to be conditionally fit. That is a management issue.
Is
right?
that being applied?
Well, that's what I say, it's a management issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is that the average height of the community, and if it is that, what is the requirement now, seeing that for police service or police applicants, what is the minimum height that should be, or that is the bar? So someone who is 5 feet, right? Would that qualify, or they must have a limitations in terms of a cutoff? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think you should. I mean, I have no issue with there being no height requirement. You fulfill the exercises or whatever the training academy puts before you, because you have to go through a whole process to become a police officer, to be selected and to become a police officer. Height restriction, which is what the law is saying, the court is saying, is that height should not be a discriminatory factor. If there's a man out there or a woman, let's say 5 foot, and they believe that they can contribute to the TTPS in a particular way, should we debar them? And they may be excellent police officers in terms of whatever special unit they become assigned to. You know.
Yeah.
Human beings are aspirational.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and the other thing too is that in terms of the eligibility, there are several ways that companies and or state agencies sort and sift. There will be a physical examination in terms of things you have to do, and there will be an academic examination. So suppose you have to go through a physical training process that your physicality prohibits you from doing. You understand? As a requirement for the service, for example, something you have to jump over, or something some distance you have to run effectively, because there's a physicality involved in being an officer. So you may not be, for example, if police officers fail the entrance exam, they're not taken. So there are other ways to determine if this person is physically capable of fulfilling the duties of a police officer, as opposed to an ineligibility criterion. You understand?
yeah.
All right. We have a call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Paul, and good morning, Richard.
Morning.
So, my answer for this one is, Paul, the state has a right to appeal, but I don't think they should. So, because if they were just spending money, and lawyers' pocket getting fat, but that is the right. Now, concerning the carnival, I don't know what it is. Paul, you might be able to help me. What was the controversy with Bungee song and Feeder song? Because
there was no controversy.
Because online I started with, but I think Wendell is part of this thing too. The mafia. I mean, people play this. I only heard Bungee song for the first time Carnival Monday when I switched on the TV and Paul, you was speaking. That was the first time I heard that song, But then it probably picked up steam during the course of the day and so on. But there was no doubt that Michael Tasia song was going to win, right? So I don't think too much of bacchanal in Carnival, too much. So concerning, I heard some remarks that Mr. A.Z. King made again, that he doesn't want to have political counsel because it's so this, that, the other, and the next. But is he a Calypsonian by chance? Or is he supposed to be a Calypsonian to the president Tukunaso?
I think he's a Calypsonian, yes.
What else he ever sung for people to know who he is? I would like to hear a song he sang before. Because
So are you suggesting that he has to have a popular song to be eligible to be president of TUCO?
Pardon?
Are you suggesting that he has to have a popular song to be president of TUCO?
No, he doesn't. But he speaks as though well, he feels as though he's not for calypso then, or for the art form, political or otherwise. He just want to hear what he figured about this calm sound. He doesn't want to hear the political peacock and all of that. But that is how he calypso started. Is look at the whole choggers and other calypsonians from before. These are political songs, and that is what makes it good too. Humorous, social comedy, all of them. But he just doesn't want to have the political song because it is dismissive. Is how we put it across. You can't just judge the whole thing as dismissive. Because if one or two sing something, some of them sing some things that are objective. That doesn't sound good. You can't just put it on everybody else or the other Calypsonians. So I
What I
think
get
go ahead.
what I get from Ainsley King is that he's trying to walk a fine balancing line between freedom of artistic expression in calypso and the business of calypso. That's what I get from him when he makes these statements. And he's not always the most articulate or sensitive when he says some things to both sides, or particularly to the Calypsonian side. So a lot of his comments are aimed at sustaining the business element of calypso, which has suffered for a while, at the expense sometimes of the supporting the Calypsonian in a full way. So I understand the position he's in, and he's not the best at articulating it.
So therefore, the business side of it meaning for people to come in and people of East India and that's what he's saying, So because if they don't sing political songs, then East Indian people will come to the tent. Is that what he's saying?
But I don't know that political songs have a particular ethnicity to them. Let's start with that.
I got from him whenever he speaks, the rubbish he speaks, I get that is what he is saying. Because you know what he said as well? He noticed a few East Indians in his tent this season. What happened to it? Everybody Trinidadian and Tobago, but he's talking about East Indian African, what it is. How many people of East Indians sing East Indian descent sing calypso the teacher? You can count them on one hand. The rest of them sing chutney. So what is he putting this mix into the African and the Indian thing and calypso and this and that? Because it's the PNM, is the black calypsonians singing PNM, pro PNM. So they won't sing about that. They will sing anti-UNC. So Ainsley King better get off this stupidity, because this is the second time I heard him speak in a little detail, and he's uttering rubbish. Like, better get somebody to write something for him when he's going to talk, because he confused the whole situation and just making confusion and bacchanal and all kind of stupidness concerning that. And my final point, I didn't like how TTT shows, when the TT is bringing this thing forward, we not see the crowd, one, and then when I see somebody perform commercials, I know you have to pay for the commercials, but I know you have to pay for the shows, but then we're not even getting a little comment after the performance, especially Sunday's the March car.
That was brutal.
But I had on the radio too, so I was getting commentary from color commentary from the radio announcers. But TTT, and when they put the advertisement, when it comes back, the part of it starts already on the screen, on the stage. I never get to hear Sonny Bing make any comments on the stage, and he was the MC.
No, you didn't see the MCs. All right, thank you.
Right, so anyway, you all have a good day.
Okay, all the best there. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
When you listen to this thing with this calypso, there was some years ago, the calypso, they tried to suppress calypso. You see, I don't know, but they seem to forget. Calypso really is literature, And literature could tell you the cow jump over the moon. The ogre lift the bridge from one position, put it in another place. Literature could say those things. But in order for literature to make sense, you have to have what you call faith. And I say faith, because faith is not a holy word. Faith is really, faith is to believe in something that you cannot justify, or you did not justify. So in order for literature to make sense, in a lot of those instances, you have to have faith in it. So singing calypso about certain things and whatnot, I find that people shouldn't, because if we go back to that, kind of thing, there were a lot of things that was said out of the calypso arena in Skinner Park in San Fernando along the same line, just that certain people couldn't understand the language, that it didn't come out, until there was a artist that came from away and you make a statement and had to be corrected. So that we're talking about it. That is a different issue. This gentleman that is speaking, he needs to really get himself in order and stop trying to play running in the river on the bank, in the river on the bank. The next thing is this thing with the police commissioners that they have to choose. To be honest, I think that one police commissioner in this country is not really enough. I think we need at least two, because what is happening here? Look, this lady under tremendous training. She's trying her best, but the reason why she's under some strain is because they believe she's a PNM. They believe she's PNM. So they put in undue stress on everything that she tried. So I hope that what the president said, that the opposition will not play the monkey pants thing like what they do with the bill, when they had to pass the bill, and knowingly that if they support the bill, that criminals will be back on the street by the dozens, and knowing that they ain't really care about it. I hope that they support and try to get this situation with crime and thing down in this country.
All right.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, caller. Good morning.
Yeah, Mike Steve. Yeah, fellas. My thing is, I don't know if you all saw the case also that the man who lost the case about his beard, and he's a Muslim. Now, I don't know, those two comparisons are kind of interesting. One a case on his height, and the other one lost his case because of his Islamic faith. And how you reconcile those two judgments. And I find that as an interesting thing when the Calypso say that the law is and the idea was that I think the one with the beard was that it had a clause in the pre-constitution that protected, which is a time, I guess, colonial times, where discrimination against people was, at its height. And you're saying that we evolve. So those evolving thing, and if you look at it as and I'm taking your point that the police was a force at one time, now it's a service. How do we? And I find that either the judges, those two judgments, kind of really contradict each other in many, many, many ways.
What was the bear judgment? Could you remind us, please?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about it.
Yeah, I think it was something where they're not supposed to have beards.
Yeah,
but for religious reasons, he had a beard.
And he lost the case. It was, I even cut it out and put it in my little files and then Muslim cop loser case. It's in the new Guardian News, Saturday, February 10th, 2024 news. Under Section 6 of the Constitution, legislation which is found to breach citizens' fundamental rights cannot be challenged if passed before the country's constitution was amended in 1976. Amendments to pre-1976 legislation, such as the regulations, are also immune, provided they, in brackets, the amendments, close brackets, open close brackets, derogate from fundamental rights in the same manner as the previous legislation, which so
it's really going to the existing law provision then, the existing law protection.
It looks so. It looked like the argument was something to say that, given the operations of the savings clause, adjudication on whether the claimant's rights were breached were rendered Otios. Forgot my English. She said Otiose. As your inhabitant. I'm supposed to look it up.
So
As
it was
part
a
of
savings clause. It was a savings clause provision that that protected it. Is that what they're saying? Protected the discrimination.
Yeah, like before there was a pre-existent law in 1976 before when they did the constitutional amendment, and that anchors the provision that the police service.
Well, you know, I always back up that savings clause. I always think that savings clause was.
But that was interesting because those times would have been still pre-colonial times, and you could consider that.
And a lot of our archaic laws are still on the books because of that, and silly laws that need to get off the books.
Yeah,
that savings clause, which protected those laws prior, even if in breach of those section 4 or 5 fundamental rights, has always been an issue. Well, I always found it was an issue. I found it was a silly inclusion, and as far as I'm concerned, in the Constitution.
Yeah, and one other thing, the second other thing is what I find interesting with this is the calypso and the thing that tribe will win again, the big bands, and you see something Marshall coming into the arena, into the Gael and winning. It means one or two things. One, that there's no challenges. A person, what did I say? One eye man is king in blind man country, kind of thing. Those sayings is that either your art form has not been able to rise to a level that when somebody come in and step in to your arena who has a certain amount of suave and ability, because Marshall, like I say, with the education, he applied some research and he had his research going on and he know how to do his thing. Plus, he's a professional performer and yes, standard, so it means something. And then with tribe winning, these who dominating the other bands, that it means something is kind of interesting in the Gaia of how going on, because people are either not up in the game, they're either stagnant or they're not replying, so you just step in. But I do know that they have the Marshall effect, as they might have the Nelson Mandela effect. It have the Marshall effect, like if Taylor Swift going to a competition, could Taylor Swift lose? Because she's Taylor Swift and the imagination around her, they can't do no wrong. Even though that they could be breaking notes and stuff. And I must say that when I was listening to it, the performances are way archaic. I find some of them were like, there was the bald-head lady singer, and she was singing, and they had the adoption, and the dances was kind of like, oh my God, where's the energy? There was no energy in the dancing. And these things are putting desk out on a stage and things like that. I always backward kind of play the month kind of things and skits. They need to do it differently. You should go and give them some lessons.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is kind of like things. So I think those kind of, when somebody does that into a Gael, when you're doing these things, it means either you have to raise your game on how you take your stage, how you handle the stage, and a lot of the voices were cracking. I mean, Gypsy, you could hear Gypsy voice crack several times when he was pulling his verses. I don't know, tiredness, doing anything. Right. So they have to look at all those things. Yeah, man.
Thank you. All right. Let's take one more call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Mr. Patrick, we're going good, man.
Mr. Patrick.
Yeah. Sorry, just morning, morning, Steve. Morning,
Mr. Patrick.
It's strange when I listen to the news with this tugboat and a barge end up in Trinidad and Tobago waters, and nobody intercepted that. Nobody wasn't seeing that, and the tug, they said, disappear. It's strange.
It's a very good point, Mr. Patrick.
I find that very strange, boy.
It's a very good point.
So then, any ship, a terrorist ship, any pirate ship could just come in Trinidad and Tobago waters. With the Coast Guard,
very good point you raised there. Yeah, nobody radar coverage and all of that.
We only radar all them things on. And I find it strange, a barge with oil going to Guyana. Why I thought it was coming from Guyana?
It was going.
That whole thing is strange. You know? That whole thing is strange.
Well, maybe it's not only oil was on the barge.
Well. At least there nobody on the boat. Nobody on the boat.
Where the crew?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if anybody, died or anything like that. At least we don't know. You know what? When you don't have all the information, we're just going to be on the road speculating.
What the hell
happened? Yeah, what the hell happened?
Yeah. About the Constitution. All these cases what are coming up now and people winning them and things. And Ramlagan is a very good constitutional lawyer. Right? And I keep saying for years, they need to rewrite that constitution. That constitution outdated and archaic. We in modern times now. You understand? So they need to rewrite that constitution and update it. You understand what I said, Mr. Richard and Mr. Ragoobarsingh?
Yeah.
It needs to be updated.
Well, I think the state has said that they're going to go into some constitutional reform sessions. Some version of that, not so, Paul?
No long they talking that.
The Constitution is reformed.
All right. Long time for getting the police. There will be B, and B. Nice? If you understand what I mean there.
They've put together a committee. I forget who's chairing it. I think 2-3 weeks ago. To look at major revisions to the Constitution. I think it was just following Basdeo Pandey's funeral.
All right, later.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick.
All right. I want to just reach out to Jennifer Moe, send a message that says, "Good morning, guys. Nikki's show was fantastic. The take on being 50 is so true and so funny." So that's just, I suppose, a commentary from the show last night. As I said, the audience had a wonderful time. And it continues tonight and tomorrow. You should not miss it at Central Bank Auditorium. All roads will lead to Central Bank Auditorium this week. Especially if you're visiting. Well, if you're not visiting and you live here, you should see Nikki's show if you haven't seen it before. And of course, it's the Carnival edition, and she does talk Carnival. So Nikki Crosby is on tonight, 50ish and still hot AF. The Carnival edition at Central Bank Auditorium at 8:30 p.m. tonight. You can get tickets at the Central Bank box office, which opens from 12 noon, as well as all of the outlets I previously identified. You can check RSRR Productions theater page for more information for that. And for Bacchanal Bubble and Bad Behavior, which continues Comedy Week on Saturday and Sunday. Nikki's on tonight and tomorrow. That's it. And then Bacchanal Bubble will be at Bad Behavior on Saturday and Sunday.
You all have a great day. Be safe. It's Thursday. So we're heading into a weekend. I know there's still lots of foreigners here. My understanding is I have some friends who went out for Carnival and they said the airport was a nightmare coming back in, but the customs and immigration officers were working double time to get people through back into the country who went out. And of course, the airport is still a zoo with people leaving to head back to the various destinations. Thanks for coming and do come again. Have a great day.
This weekend it'll be an absolute busy day at the airport. All right, gentlemen, talk to you guys bright today, tomorrow morning. Of course, Wendell will join us as we head up towards 8 o'clock news brief. Yeah, with Avis and Hill Bab. Yeah. All right. Quickly, let's take a look at what's happening on the highways and on the byways before